Literary Focus. Tonight, we explore the evolving role of literature in today's world. For centuries, books have shaped ideas, preserved history, and inspired generation. However, in an age dominated by social media, streaming platforms, and digital entertainment, traditional literature faces new challenges. Declining readership, reduced attention spans, and shifting consumption habits all raise concerns about the future of literature. But beyond these trends, a more pressing issue threatens access to literature on a global scale. For more on this, we turn to our field reporter, Kian.
Thank you, Kana. One of the biggest challenges in facing literature today is the lack of access to ICT gadgets and the internet. While digital platforms have expanded the reach of books, not everyone has means to engage with them. In many low-income and rural areas, students and aspiring readers struggle due to the high cost of digital devices and unreliable or non-existent internet connectivity. Without access to e-books, online libraries, and educational resources, millions are being left behind in the digital literary revolution. This growing divide not only limits the access to reading materials, but hinders students' learning and authors' ability to share their work. Back to you, Kana.
That is a significant concern. With literature evolving beyond print, it is crucial to ensure that no one is excluded from accessing knowledge and stories. But what can be done to bridge this digital gap? To explore possible solutions, we turn to experts who have studied this issue in depth. Our first expert, Dr. Jasmine, will discuss a practical approach to providing students with the devices they need to engage with digital literature.
Well, thank you, Ian. One of the most effective solutions is the implementation of the National Device Bank. Every year, thousands of digital devices such as laptops, tablets, and cell phones go unused or discarded. By establishing such programs that collect, refurbish, and distribute these digital devices to those students who are in need, we can surely reduce the digital divide. Governments, corporations, and non-profit organizations can work together to ensure that young learners are equipped with the necessary digital tools to access educational materials, especially literature.
That is an excellent way to make use of existing resources. However, access to a device is only half the battle. Many students also struggle with internet connectivity. To discuss the solution to this issue, we turn to Prof. Caroline, an expert in digital infrastructure.
Indeed, Kana, even with a device, many students remain disconnected due to expensive or unavailable internet services. A solution to this is developing community Wi-Fi hotspots. By setting up free or low-cost internet access points in community centers, schools, libraries, and public spaces, we can ensure that students and readers have a place to engage with digital literature. This initiative requires collaboration between government, private businesses, and local organizations, but the long-term impact on education and literacy will be profound.
An important step in ensuring accessibility. But what about communities where internet access remains a distant reality? Are there ways to bring literature to these areas without relying solely on digital solutions? Dr. Rinzel has insights on how literature can thrive even in low-tech environments.
Absolutely. For communities where digital access is still limited, alternative learning methods are the key.
So, one effective approach is radio and community theater learning. Schools and organizations can partner with local radio stations to broadcast literary discussions, dramatized readings, and also the storytelling session. This allows students and readers to engage with literature in accessible medium. So additionally, educators can organize live community theater performances based on literary works, music, role-playing, and storytelling to bring books to life. These initiatives provide an inclusive way to experience literature despite of digital access. It also ensuring that stories remain a central part of education in culture.
Incredible solutions that highlight the importance of both technology and creativity in making literature accessible to all. Whether through digital expansion or community-based approaches, it is clear that literature must evolve to remain inclusive. Thank you to our esteemed researchers for sharing their insights. Now for
Kamusta kasi yung news?
Pero you know what? It's really an eye-opening.
I agree.
I was like, wow, we always talk about literature's impact, but I never considered how digital access plays such a huge role in shaping who gets to read and learn.
That point, I really do agree. Kasi, you know, regarding that, there's so much available online.
Yeah.
Diba? But, everyone has equal access, but not everyone has internet and devices. And the thing is that they're completely left out of the so-called literature revolution.
You know what? Right.
Diba?
And the solutions they mentioned, like the devices of banks and community Wi-Fi.
Oh, yeah, the researchers.
It makes so much sense. It's frustrating though that this isn't already widespread initiative.
Regarding that, I know that schools these days are push for digital learning, especially since the pandemic happens. But they don't always consider that not every student, diba,
Yes.
has the means to participate in that or to apply. So, bakit nga ba? Like, hindi nila bring up yung solutions na ginawa ng mga researchers na yun. So, siguro, oy, that is the very best channel.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Literary Lens. Tonight, we dive into an important conversation about contemporary literature, representation, and identity. As literature evolves, so do the challenges faced by authors and readers alike. Who gets to tell their stories? Whose voices are being amplified? And whose are being left out? To explore that further, let's turn to our field reporter, Desiree. Desiree, what's the situation like?
Thank you, Ira. The challenge of representation and identity in literature is one that many writers and readers are grappling with. As publishing houses focus on mainstream, marketable stories, diverse voices, especially from marginalized communities, often struggle to get the same level of visibility. However, there are ways to tackle this issue. I have spoken to some researchers or experts who have some insights about this. Let's start with Dr. Dana, who will give us some insight on how digital media can change the game. However, there are ways to tackle this issue.
One major way to address this issue is through embracing digital and self-publishing. Traditional publishing has long been the gatekeepers of literature, but the digital platforms have changed the rules. Authors can now self-publish their work, bypassing the traditional barriers and reaching a global audience. Websites like Amazon, Kindle, Direct Publishing, and Wattpad allow writers to share their stories without waiting a approval from the big publishing houses. So this democratization of publishing gives underrepresented voice the opportunity to shape the literary landscape in their own way.
That's a powerful point. With self-publishing, authors don't have to wait for their approval and they can just instead put their stories out there. But representation in literature isn't just about getting published. It's also about preserving cultural identity. Dr. Dana, thank you for accepting this interview with us.
Thank you, Desiree. I'm happy to share my insight about digital media.
And now we have Dr. Eljan. Dr. Eljan, do you have an interesting take on how families can play a role in this?
Absolutely. One solution is ancestral storytelling integration. Representation isn't just about books in store. It starts at home. That means grandparents and elders hold a wealth of oral stories that they can share to the young learners before they even step into the classroom. By involving older generations in storytelling, children will grow up with narratives that reflects their heritage and identity. This not only strengthens the cultural preservation but also build confidence in young readers and writers to explore their own stories. These early experiences set the foundation in embracing the diverse literature later.
Such an important point. Representation isn't just about who's writing the book, right? But it is also the ones we heard from an early age. Lastly, we have Dr. Renee. Dr. Renee, how can we bring more diverse voices into classrooms?
One key solution is to diversify reading music. Schools and educators play a crucial role in students' literature exposure. Instead of relying on the same classic books year after year, educators can curate reading lists that balance popular genre fiction with literature that tackles contemporary social themes. With this, students are exposed
focus talking about the digital. This one talking about the representation of identity. Diba?
Yeah, same. You know what? Same. Like, it's frustrating that so many diverse voices are still struggling to be heard.
Totoo.
Traditional publishing has such strict gatekeeping, you know, and it's no wonder some authors turn to self-publishing.
Yeah, like, you know. But visibility is still an issue, diba?
Yeah.
Like, sabi ni kanina. But what I love, the point is about the ancestral storytelling that the researcher Elgin suggested. It's a powerful way to preserve culture.
Exactly. And schools should embrace that, along with diversifying reading lists. If students don't see themselves in books, they might feel like their stories don't matter.
Yeah, because especially since we are future educators, especially in English, literature is our forte, it should be, diba? So this news is really eye-opening. Like, there is so much going on in literature that we are not aware of. Yeah, but by chance, can change that by introducing diverse voices and encouraging students to share their own stories.
There we go. Literature should be both a mirror and a window. Oh, let's make sure our classrooms reflect that.
I love that phrase of yours. I
Yeah.
love that. So, dahil uli na tayo. Tapos menu.
Okay.
Here at Oakwood Library, we got it all for you. Can I borrow a pen?
kulay green Ayos na naman yung lasa na kulay dilaw Nung tinikman ko yung color green Yok ko na ulitin Bibili ako sa labas Alam ko na yung sasabihin Ate pabili nga po sito na red Wala nang red, green na lang Hindi pwede yan Ayaw kong uminom yan Gusto ko yung red Na sito sa akin Sa akin ibigay Na sito sa akin Sa akin ibigay Na sito sa akin Sa akin ibigay Sa akin ibigay Yes, sa akin ibigay Sa akin ibigay Kami na motel